you're utilizing. So looking at these three topics and why you need them and why DNS security is very, very needed and should be part of your security ecosystem, we prepared a little demo which Peter will give to show how easy it is, for example, to exfiltrate sensitive data from your network utilizing DNS. So I give the control to you, Peter, if you can take it.
So essentially, it's a very simple demo. I'm going to take the place of the hatted guy on the left, where I want to exfiltrate data through DNS. And I'm at home today, so I'm using my home network, which means I'm going through my ISP's DNS. And I'm going to essentially send some queries through that DNS to a compromised server that we control that will decrypt the data and then show it on a web page. And I've got a setup at the moment. I will just share the window and I'll explain what we're going to do. So it's a relatively simple screen. On the left-hand side is everything that's going to happen within the web page. On the right-hand side is where it's connected to the DNS server. So we'll replay the logs that we see as the queries are received by that DNS server. If we can decrypt, we will then have a window that pops up underneath it with the text. The text that we're going to send, and it could be anything, but we've just got some pre-prepared stuff. Could be anything. It could be security card. It could be credit card details. It could be security numbers. It could be anything you want. We're going to encode that, or the web page is going to encode that in DNS queries, send it through. The DNS server receives those queries. It can identify it with this number 3SM CBR because that's the particular session that we're connected to now. I can vary the payload size. I can vary the exfiltration rate. I'll try and do it at 60 milliseconds because that's relatively quick. We could, if we wanted to, do this with NS lookup commands or dig commands and put them into a command line and bypass any proxies or anything like that, which is to simulate what malware would typically do in your networks. But I'm just going to run it through the web browser because it's an easy thing to do. Press the button to send the DNS requests. In the bottom left, we can see the sending, all the encryption going to the particular domain. On the right-hand side, we see the queries that we've received at the DNS server, and we can then decrypt that data. That's how easy it is to exfiltrate data through a DNS server. But let me show you how you can stop it. So with Chrome, you can configure Chrome itself to use DNS over HTTPS. I've put a URL in, which is a URL that we control within EfficientIP. It runs one of our servers that offers protection. So I'm just going to start using that. I will clear it, and I'll do exactly the same thing again. But now my DNS stream is going to go through a protected solution. So when I do it, I can see I've got some stuff that got through because it takes time for the solution to identify that there's a threat. We can't do it with one query. We have to do it with a few. But you can see it stopped before the end of that stream. But that's now blocked. If I then do it again, nothing will get through. Doesn't matter how many times I do this, nothing will get through because that is now protected. That domain is not accessible through that DNS server. If I went back to my ISP and I refresh, then obviously it can go straight through again because I'm no longer being protected in my DNS. So that's how easy it is to basically exfiltrate data through anyone's network. The guys that we have within the company can work with customers to do this in their environment. If you want to just check to see if you're protected or not, we can help you do that. And the one thing I would say at this point, when we do trigger, the important thing is for the security teams to be aware of something that's going on. So having events passed to a security team is pretty important so that you can do something about it. You can't secure what you can't see. So getting visibility of these events occurring in the network is probably one of the most important things we can do. We can pass that with syslog to a SIM. We can also trigger event-bound or event-driven outbound API calls to third-party platforms to do something about the fact that this has happened in a network. So if I stop sharing, Chris, then you can take control back.
Did it show up, or?
You should be able to take it back now. Yeah.
Sorry.
And this last slide is just essentially showing the kind of when we arm or when we trigger based on the user or client trying to do this, we will send the event through to either a SIM or we can do via the APIs I mentioned before. But it's all about stopping this kind of activity dead, and that's what we do.
Yeah. So what we noticed that using this web page, which is available to anywhere in the world, basically, people won't have access. So you can reach out to Peter and his team, and maybe
Yeah.
Peter, you can explain how that works to help you to run this tool and help you to detect if you have a problem or not and what to do with it.
Yes, I mean we have a team of engineers around the world. We're quite happy to work with customers to try and do this in your network. I mean, it's a simple web page, and if you want, you can just get the command line list of commands to run through very easily to simulate malware in your network. If you can exfiltrate through and we can see it come up in the system, you know you can exfiltrate through your network and that you've got a gap. And we've done it for a number of customers, and sometimes it scares the security team because they think they're covered because they've got the protections that people have sold them that will stop it, and it just goes through. So it's something we do with a lot of customers just to show whether or not they can. Some you can't, some you can. It's worth checking.
Yeah, the hit rate of that can is quite high.
Yeah.
And we had regularly some big words on those calls.
Yeah.
Just to accentuate that.